We have learned fractions as part of a whole, and we've done a great job with that. We've also learned fractions as part of a set. And then we learned fractions as part of a number line. So we've learned 3 different ways to use fractions. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to take our knowledge about fractions, and we're also going to take our knowledge about estimating. That means making a guess. We've done that before with numbers. We've rounded numbers to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, to the nearest 1,000. And today we're going to combine both of those to use benchmark fractions to estimate fractions. Benchmark fractions are when you take a fraction that we commonly use. So for example, the fractions that I chose were 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4, because those are ones that we've been working on, and they're ones we usually use. Like when you use a measuring cup, usually it's 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. So that's what you pick. You pick one you usually use. And what I did was, I have a pencil here. Here's my pencil. And I'm going to estimate how long I think that pencil is. So I lined up the point with 0 right here. So I'm looking at it, and I see that, it's not quite there. It's not quite to the 3/4, it's not quite to the 1/2, it's not perfect, but that's okay, because we've learned with estimating it doesn't have to be perfect, you just round to the nearest point. So here it is between 1/2 and 3/4. And I look and I see that that line is closer to 3/4. So I would say my pencil is about 3/4. Let's look at that number line again. Now if I were to just draw a line, and I'd start at the 0, and I'm just going to draw a line. Now I want to know about how long my line is. Once again, I'm just going to use benchmark fractions. I'm using 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4. And I line it up, and I see that, it is not quite to 1/2, but it's between 1/2 and 3/4. So then I look at this line right here, and I try to decide which one it's closest to. And I look, and I can tell that it's closest to 1/2. So I would say that this line is about 1/2. I can also use thirds. Look at the line that I drew. I drew it, and it's between the 0 and it's between 1/3. It's not quite to the 1/3 yet, but when I look, I see that it's just a little bit closer to the 1/3. So I could say this fraction is about 1/3. Here we have a candy bar, and I got really hungry, and I ate about this much of it. It was delicious. But I want to figure out about how much I ate of it. I don't know for sure, but one thing I can do is I can use a benchmark fraction to help me out. I can draw a line down the middle, and I can look at this, and I can see that it's more than that middle line, and I know that middle line is half, so I know I ate more than half the candy bar. So what if I divided this candy bar into 4 pieces? So I'm going to make a line equal down the middle, and remember, I'm just estimating, so it doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to make a line equal down the middle, and I can see that this would be 1/4 of a candy bar, and this would be 3/4 of the candy bar. And if you look, I just about covered up 3 out of 4 pieces. So I could say I ate about 3/4 of my candy bar, and it was really good. I used benchmark fractions to help me estimate about how much of the candy bar I ate. It's not perfect, but I estimated. Remember, you use benchmark fractions when the problem is asking you to estimate. You can think about keywords just like when we estimate, when they ask you, say, about how much of a fraction is that, or to estimate. That's when we use benchmark fractions. Please practice with your teacher using the guided practice.